everybody, thanks for tuning in for another video. Had a couple months to fish this particular reel as it has been a later release this year, and I want to give you guys my 2 cents so far on the 2024 Shimano Vanford. So it's been 7 years since Shimano had actually released the original Vanford several years ago. That was originally supposed to take over the Stratic. That was replacing the Stratic line, and we were here with the Vanford. Obviously, we all know, fast forward a couple years, that that wasn't the end of the Stratic and that they had come out with a couple Stratics afterwards, but this is what we're left over with, and this is the newest version of the Vanford right here. I had, purchased the original Vanford back in 2017 with the intentions that it would be as a workhorse, like the old Stratics, the CI4 Pluses and the Stratic before that one. Because Stratic is such a great line, and it's known to be the workhorse of the spinning reels at a really good price point. And I had the intentions that the Vanford would do the same. And boy, was I kind of disappointed at the 2017 Vanford. The one that I got at least, and the one that I fished, the reel was very gritty. Wasn't as smooth. Did it do a good job in terms of performance-wise? Yes, but it just wasn't as smooth, and it was a little bit heavier than what I've liked to as well. The Stratic before, the CI4, again, that was a champ of a spinning reel, and I know a lot of people still have one today. They love it. I loved it for what I had. I still wish I never sold my CI4 for the Vanford, the original Vanford, but I did, and I sold the Vanford after a couple of months of using it. So fast forward about 7 years, and we are here with the 2024 year. This is the newest model and the most up-to-date version here. This is a 3000 size. This is a 3000 XG. I am a big fan of 3000 size. If you guys know me, I like to have extra line capacity, and I like to have the bigger grips here as well. Makes it a little bit easier. I have big hands, big fingers, so it's really nice and easy for me to just kind of fish a bigger reel like this. I also fish a lot of clear water lakes, a lot of deep water lakes here too in Wisconsin, so I like to have more line capacity on my spool. So just a little bit more than the 2500 size. In my 2 months of ownership, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews over the last couple of months. And one of the most common ones that I've heard about this reel is the drag. I've heard some individuals state that they're having drag slipping problems. I've heard individuals say that the reel is identically the same. And so let's talk about the reel and my experience so far. And guys, keep in mind, everybody's experience is going to be a little different, but this is going to be my full experience with the new Vanford. And given it's only been a couple months, so we're going to do another touch base next year, but this is becoming one of my, I shouldn't say favorite spinning reel, because I have the my Vanquish is my favorite spinning reel, but this has become like my second or third top, I guess, in my list that I really like. So but the first one, let's talk about the drag. So one of the biggest things that people have talked about this reel is some issues with the drag. And so we're going to do a little, I'm going to show you guys the drag right now, and you guys can kind of let me know what your thoughts are. And then we'll kind of talk about it in a second here. So I'm going to do a little bit of a drag test so you can kind of hear it for yourself. You can kind of see it for yourself too as well. And you guys let me know what you guys think of this drag. So far I haven't had any issues, and I think that's obviously a good thing for me. I've talked to another angler out there that has about 3 or 4 of the new Vanfords. One of the 4 has had some drag issues of it slipping, but let's do a little test here, and you can kind of let me know what your thoughts are on this on this drag. Here. So pretty smooth, and I'm going to show you guys the what I have, the drag on the Stratic, and you guys can kind of do a little comparison on that too as well. Here we go with the Stratic. So from what I noticed, I do notice that the Stratic FM is a little bit more sticky when it comes to the drag. Not as smooth as the Vanford, but keep in mind I have this reel for over a year, and I've put a ton of fish on it. So not too sure if that has to do something to do with it exactly. But one thing that I want to show you that you'll be pleasantly surprised is comparing the drag to the Vanquish and how much smoother this drag is compared to the other two, and rightfully so it should be because of the price point. But I want to show that to you because I think it's interesting to for people to understand why you would pay a little bit more for or why someone should or would pay more for a spinning reel here. I know you can't feel what I'm feeling, but it is a nice continuous pull from start to finish. There's absolutely no little hesitation at all, you know, compared to the Vanford and the Stratic. Yeah, this is pretty smooth still. Another thing I want to talk about too is just the weight of the new Vanford. This thing is pretty light. It comes in around like 6.3 ounces. And I'm going to do a little weight test here for you so you guys can see the weight differences. All right, so we're going to run some weight tests on these three reels right here, all from Shimano. I kind of wanted to keep it consistent. I guess I got to throw in some of my Daiwa reels in here, but I really just want to show you guys the difference between these three Shimano reels here. So we're going to go and weigh the Vanford first, so you get a good idea of what the weight is for the new 3000 size. 192 grams. I'm going to show you guys the Stratic FM. This is a 2500 size, by the way, too. 228. 228. So big difference there. And just for fun, I'm going to show you guys the Vanquish. 179. So 179, 192, I believe, on the Vanford, and about 220 some on the Stratic. So big difference between the weight of these two. And keep in mind, this is a 2500 size too compared to the Vanford. There's a 3000 size. Not that it's much different for the most part, but again, you know, this Stratic is significantly a lot heavier. But again, it's really more known for the workhorse reel in Shimano lineup compared to the Vanford. So, but it's a nice, you know, nice thing to know that the Vanford, in terms of weight, is closer to the Vanquish than the Stratic is to the Vanford. So Shimano is going places with their reels. So clearly you can see that the Vanford is a lot lighter than the Stratic here. This Stratic here is even a 2500 size, and the Vanford here is a 3000 size. And the Vanford is significantly lighter, which is awesome. I think I really like that about Shimano with the direction they're heading at. Not only are you delivering performance in a middle class reel like the Vanford, but you're also delivering that weight. Not as light as the Vanquish, of course. That is their lightest spinning reel in the lineup. You know, it's hard to compare the best, I shouldn't say the best reel. I think it's the best reel. You know, you're comparing the best Shimano reel to something that is more affordable. But I think it's getting there, and that's what I really like. So kudos to Shimano for doing that. Now, it still features the red accents, as you can see here on the reel, but it's got a very nice finish on it too as well. So that I really do like. Typical T-style paddle handles here, so nothing different about that. But again, they've reduced a lot of weightiness. And speaking of the technology, Shimano has really brought down some of the higher end technology from the Stellas and the Vanquish down to something at a more affordable price in the Vanford. Two things that come to mind is the Infinity X Cross and the Infinity X Drive, which are two things that you find in like the Vanquish per se and the Stella. They brought it down to the Vanquish, so I mean to the Vanford. So it's really nice to see some of that higher end technology being put in here. Again, talking about the other big difference is that drag, and I'll talk about it too as well. You know, not only does it have a new design of washers, but those set of washers are basically woven wrapped in like a fiber material. So again, you're getting that little bit more strength in your reel too as well. Would you notice it in smaller reels? When I mean smaller reels, I apologize. I meant like more like, would you see that difference in a maybe like a 2000 size or 1000 size? Probably not. And the reason being is because you're probably not going to be fishing, putting that reel through a lot of stress, especially on your drag and your brakes. you're probably going to notice it more on 3,000 size and up, maybe 2,500 size and up, but to be honest, I would say 3,000 size and up. So if the guys who are fishing 4,000 size reels, 5,000 size reels, you're going to notice that more performance. You're going to notice that more tougher, performance out of your reel versus people that are fishing panfish or smaller type fish that might not be putting that much stress on a reel. You might not notice that difference really until you actually are fishing bigger game fish. Speaking of the specs, a little earlier I talked about it. Comes in at 6.3 ounces. You guys saw the weight test too as well. But this reel can hold up about 140. Let's see. It's going to be about 140 yards of 10-pound mono. So pretty good. Really good in terms of line capacity as I talked about earlier. That's why I really like the 3,000 size. Again, I do prefer the bigger handles. I do prefer the bigger spool too as well. And for comparison, again, the 2023 Stratic came in at 7.9 ounces, which you saw in grams or ounces, I think. I apologize, ounces. Just how much heavier the Stratic is. So you got a super good workhorse in this reel, the Stratic, and then you have a pretty good workhorse and minus the weight on the Vanford. So I haven't put the Vanford as much as I haven't used it as much as I have the Stratic yet. So time will tell, and I can't wait to kind of do a comparison video next summer or next spring on between the two reels, because these are so close in price point. They're so close in terms of the performance and the specs that they have, and that I can't wait to kind of give you guys my insights after a more thorough testing with the Vanford. But so far, the new Vanford I really, really like. Watching someone who actually broke down this reel piece by piece on YouTube, you can look up his channel, it's called iFish. I was really intrigued to find out that a lot of this reel and a lot of the parts are very similar, if not the same. About 90% of this reel is really pretty much the same from the 2017 year. And so there's only a couple minor adjustments that Shimano made, and I want to point those out. In the video of the comparison, one of the gentlemen noticed that one of the very big notices is that the teeth to the gears on the 2017 are a lot smaller than the teeth and the gears on the 2024. It was very unique to hear that because Shimano and a lot of other reel companies too are kind of making the teeth smaller, more teeth, smaller, which makes more, I guess you could say, more impact or more surface area because there's a lot more contact between the teeth to make it smoother. So I'm really surprised that Shimano did do that with the new Vanford. I don't know if that was the reason why the reel was so gritty. I don't know. I'm not too sure. But it's nice to notice that that is kind of one of the biggest differences internally about the new Vanford versus the 2017 Vanford. The other big noticeable thing about it too, again, and I talked a little bit about it earlier, is the new Vanford offers some of the higher end technology that it can be brought down from the Vanquish and the Stella. This has the Infinity X Cross and the Infinity X Drive in it, so it gets, obviously it's a direct shaft going straight down to the gears, making it a lot smoother, and you can feel it. This compared to the 2017, this is a lot smoother out of the box. You don't really hear that grittiness here. Not very gritty as well compared to the 2017 one. But yeah, so those are kind of the two of the biggest differences in it. And where this reel shines the most, again, is the weight. It's made out of that CI4 plus material that Shimano does so good at. And the weight of this reel is really, really good, 6.3 ounces. You saw the weight comparisons between the Stratic, the Vanquish, and the Vanford. Obviously, it's not going to be as light as the Vanquish because this is just one of the, best performing reels from Shimano's lineup. But it is a lot lighter than the Stratic. So that does say something about the two reels. And it does tell you how much cuts that Shimano did to reduce the weight of the old Vanford, and even compared to the new Stratic. So really, really happy about that, especially for guys that you're fishing hours and hours and hours. It's really nice to get a nice lighter reel. And not only is it nice to get a lighter reel, but a lot of rods these days are getting a lot lighter. And so if you're fishing a very heavy reel, your rod balance is going to be a little off. So it's nice to have lighter reels with lighter rods. That way your rod is just a little bit more balanced when you're holding it. It's not tip heavy, it's not butt heavy, it's just where you're holding the reel is kind of where most of that weight is going to be. So again, that way you don't get that tip heaviness or the heaviness in the butt of the stock. The line capacity in a 3000 is pretty good. You're getting about 140 yards of 10-pound mono, which is pretty good. That's what I really like about 3000 size again, and that's why I like using the 3000 size. I've had this over 2 months now, and I wish I was able to kind of put more fish through it, but in August and September came around, and I haven't been able to fish it as much as I wanted to, but I can tell you, the fish that I've caught on it and the way that I've used it, I really like this reel. It casts very well. It's very smooth. Drag is very good, especially for the it being at $250. The drag is really, really good, and it's light, and that's what I like about it too as well. And so, the question I've been getting asked a lot over the last couple weeks is, how is the Vanford? How do I like it? And how do I compare it and compare it to the old Vanford? Well, first of all, I like the reel. It's really good. It's really smooth. And time will tell to see how well it does long term and how those internals hold up. But it's very good so far. And the other question is, how does it compare to the old Vanford? Again, I talked a little about the details. I do like it a lot better than the old Vanford. And the other question that I get is it worth the upgrade to get the new one if you have the old one? That's really on you, to be honest. But for me, in my honest opinion, if I were looking at it and I didn't have one, I would get the new Vanford. I would fork up the extra money to purchase one, because you can find the old Vanfords on the used market. Heck, I was actually able to find a new Vanford on the used market too as well on Facebook Marketplace. So if you're looking, check Facebook Marketplace too as well, because you might find a new one below retail. But if you're looking for one, you want a brand new one, check your local retailers, or if you want to save a few bucks, you can order this reel on like Digitaka. You can find it on Asia Fishing Portal. You can even find it on Japan Tackle or eBay on those Japanese websites. So you can find it there. Again, quick disclaimer, if you do order a reel from Japan, USA Shimano won't service it, so that's the only risk you're kind of throwing up. But the nice thing about it is that I've ordered dozens of reels from those reputable websites, and I haven't had any issues with my reels. Even my Vanquish is from Digitaka too as well, and I have not had any issues with this reel. Trying to find some of the reels that I have. Access DC from Japan, Calcutta Conquest from Japan, and Terrace DC from Japan. So all those reels too as well, I haven't had any issues, and those are all from Japan, and they have been phenomenal. And I really beat my stuff. Like, I really take care of my things, and they look like very clean because I'm very careful with storing them and not banging them. At least, well, the Vanquish, I should say. I was banging this up on North Dakota, but it's still very good. There's like no minor scratches. But I really put these to a lot of fish, and I'm really happy with this one so far. So again, do you have to sell your other reels to buy this reel? No, the old Vanfords work for the most part. This is more of the finely tuned version that's just a little bit smoother, and it looks better too as well, in my opinion. I honestly think that the new Vanford is probably arguably the best reel for that price point of around $250, $200 so far. But again, it's got to compete against the Stratic, and this thing's a workhorse. So give it a couple months. Next spring, I'll revisit this video and let you guys know what I think. But other than that, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. It supports the channel, and nothing on this channel is given to me. It is all funded by myself. So if you guys can, please hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and tight lines.